For the barbell bench press, the first thing you want to do is set up the barbell in relation to the height from the ground and also where the bench is at. When setting up the bench, you want to make sure it's centered on the rack itself and that it's far enough back so that when you lay down on it and you look up at that barbell is sitting right over top of your eyes and it's blocking your vision towards the ceiling. The height of the barbell is going to depend on the length of your arms. As I get into position here, you want that barbell to be about the height of your wrists. They can be below or above, obviously, depending on personal preference, but this is a great starting point. It's just enough height so that you don't have to work too hard to unrack that barbell, and it's not too hard to re-rack it as well. It's a good standard position. Once you've got those both set up, the next thing we want to do is pay attention to where our head, shoulder blades, hips, and feet are. Those matter a lot when it comes to the bench press and controlling the movement and producing the maximal amount of force. So as I lay back, first I'm going to make sure I clear that barbell, don't hit the back of my head. I'm going to scoot forward so that as I look up at that barbell is sitting right over top of my eyes and it's blocking my vision to the ceiling. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my shoulder blades and my butt are sitting firmly on top of this bench, and then I'm going to set up my feet. I'm going to hike my feet back until just before my heels start coming up the ground. You may see videos of the heels coming up and whatnot. Again, it's personal preference. I just prefer to have maximum amount of control. If you cannot touch the floor with your entire foot, I highly recommend placing some mats, some plates, some dumbbells even, whatever you have available to make sure that your feet can touch the ground. From this position, we can start getting set up. Now, when I get set up for the barbell bench press, I'm going to show you with a shoulder width grip. Okay, some people prefer to be a little bit wider out. I have the most control in here and it feels the best on my shoulders, my upper back, and this is where I can produce the most force. A couple principles to keep in mind when performing the bench press. As we lower that weight, we're going to want to keep the forearm vertical. This is, imagine if I'm laying down. Okay, we're going to keep the forearm vertical. We're going to keep this 90-degree angle between our lower arm and our upper arm. As you look at me from the front, we want to avoid having the elbows pop out to the side, and we also want to avoid our elbows falling forward of our wrists or our wrists going behind the elbows. This does not give us maximal control or allow us to produce the maximum amount of force. Again, we want to keep that wrist right on top of that elbow and that forearm straight up and rigid, keeping the arms in tight. Now, when I get set up, I'm going to do what's called bending the bar. I'm going to bend it forward. Obviously, I can't really bend the barbell, but I'm going to imagine if I am, or if I could, I'm going to bend it forward, and as I do that, I'm going to create all this tension through my wrists, my elbow, my shoulder, and my upper back, and that barbell is going to become part of my body. It's going to give me maximal control, and again, allow me to produce the most force as I can with this barbell. And as I lower it, I'm going to create a nice straight line with the movement of that barbell coming down to the chest, and as I come up, you'll notice you can't just stop right here. You'll have to kind of perform this hook at the top. Don't think too much about it. It'll go the right direction according to the way your body works. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my eyes so that they're right in line with that barbell. Then I'm going to make sure my upper back and my butt are firmly planted on this bench. I'm going to hike my feet back until just before my heels start coming up. Make sure they're flat. From here, I'm going to reach up, establish my grip. My hands are going to be shoulder width, thumb and fingers wrapped around, and I'm going to crush that barbell between my hands. I'm going to take in a deep belly breath. I'm going to unrack that barbell, bring it out over top of my chest. From here, we're going to bend the barbell forward like we talked about. Your biceps will rotate towards your face, and then we're going to let our shoulders sink down so they become part of our upper back. From here, I'm going to take in a nice deep belly breath. As I continue to crush that barbell and bend it forwards, I'm going to lower it down towards the chest, keeping the forearms vertical until I reach the sternum or just at the base of the rib cage. And I'm going to drive up. Once I completed the designated number of reps, I'm going to keep the arms extended, bring it back into the J-hooks, and release. Just make sure with this movement, you know that everything matters and that you're controlling that barbell. So often, this is probably the most abused movement because it's probably one of the most performed movements in the gym because everybody seems to like it. There's so much, if one arm's going up quicker than the other, or the elbows are flaring out, or that bar is moving in kind of a curve, we want to step back and gain control of that barbell again. Take the time to set up the bar as far as the height goes and the bench where it's located so you can set up in the same position every time and you can be consistent so you can make progress. That's how you do the barbell bench press.